Hannah Hamilton's Horrid Hullabaloo by Mary Ann Usler. This series is dedicated to all the wonderful Hewitt girls I was privileged to teach, with a special thanks to Savannah Rosen for her invaluable help. Chapter 8, Mr. Kitchenmaster. Was it possible that there was a connection between Basil and Marla? And why? What use could Marla be to the elderly, feeble janitor? And more importantly, what use could Basil be to Marla, a teenage ghost? Hannah had no idea, but what was becoming abundantly clear was that she knew very little about the world she had so suddenly been cast in. She wanted to help Beatrice, but she didn't know how. She wanted to be free of Marla, but she had no idea of the steps she would have to take. There was only one thing to do, and that was to return to St. Hedwig's Elementary School and have a chat with Sister Maria Constance. She was heading for the door when she felt something flicking through her. "Where are you going?" Grace asked, slightly alarmed, her voice coming from behind. "Back to St. Hedwig's." Grace's eyes were open wide, so Hannah immediately reassured her. "Not to stay there permanently. I want to question a nun, Sister Maria Constance. She's been a ghost for 50 years. Can I come with you?" The request caught Hannah by surprise. She remembered what Mary Lou had said about not being wanted at Miss Anna's. "That school's nothing like this place, but I guess if you want to come, it's all right." "Sometimes I just have to get away from Andrew. He can be so negative and so bossy." It was on the tip of Hannah's tongue to ask what Andrew had to be happy about, but she thought the less said the better. Maybe Grace would accuse her of being negative. Hannah led the way, and as Grace trailed behind, it gave Hannah a slight thrill because she felt like a leader. But it didn't last long. Quick as a flash, they had arrived. "This is it?" Grace asked in a scared little voice as they made their way into the hall. "It's kind of spooky." "You're talking about spooky," Hannah said. "You have to remember when all is said and done, we're the actual spooks." "There are spooks and there are spooks." Grace was looking around at the deserted and decrepit hall, frowning. "And we're not the scary ones." Hannah was about to respond when a strange vision formed in her mind. She caught a glimpse of herself at the bottom of the crumbling stairs. The vision wasn't clear, but rather hazy, as though a net had been placed in front of it. But Hannah could see her neck sticking straight up in a very alarming angle. And then she saw something else, something that sent an electric current through her transparent body. The girl at the bottom of the stairs was breathing. "Are you all right?" Grace asked suddenly. "I know it's hard when you see yourself like that." "How did you know what I was seeing?" Hannah stuttered. "Ghosts can read thoughts, the thoughts of both the living and the dead." "Then how come I can't do it?" "You haven't been dead long enough." Grace released a small shudder. When Anna looked up, she saw Sister Maria Constance floating down the stairs. Her face was whiter than Hannah remembered, contrasting with her black habit, and her forehead knottier and more wrinkled. "I'm sorry if I frightened you." Her one blue eye twinkled. "I know I have a very scary face. I also know, Grace, that this is not the sort of school that you're used to." Instead of reassuring the nun, Grace just glowered and shook her head, confirming what Anne had already suspected. Grace was a snob. "Don't judge," Sister Maria Constance cautioned Hannah as Hannah felt a prickle of irritation run through her. She didn't like this, all these people able to tell what she was thinking. "We have some questions," Hannah said, "or rather I have some questions. You want to know if someone living is working with Marla." Hannah would have to be careful what she was thinking, but she wondered if such a thing was even possible. "The dead can conspire with the living," Sister Maria Constance said. "But I'm not certain whom Marla has teamed up with." "It's the janitor," Hannah answered, and then said that his name was Basil, and she began to describe him. "No," Sister Maria Constance shook her head, and her veil swished from side to side. "She's working with someone, but it's not him." "But I know what I saw." "Well, maybe she was just trying to get into his head." Sister Maria Constance was interrupted by a rustling noise beside her. A sudden gaggle of hopeful spirits tiptoed into the hall, some of them whom Hannah recognized. Mary Lou, Rosalind, the boy carrying the alley cat, who took one look at Grace and hissed, "The cat," not the boy. "You're so pretty." "How nice to have died in bed." "I love your pajamas. Are they silk?" "Do you live at Miss Anna's academy?" "I tried to go there, but you didn't want me." "Oh, that was Andrew." Grace spoke for the first time. "Do you want to stay here?" Mary Lou asked. "There's plenty to do." "You can have my cat." But the cat leaped out of the boy's arms before vanishing into thin air. "I can't. I'm sorry." Mary Lou stepped forward. "Will you stay, Hannah? You belong here. It's where you died." Hannah had no intention of staying, but one question loomed in her mind. She looked at Sister Maria Constance. "Can you protect me?" Sister Maria Constance paused. "We can help, and we will help, but ultimately it's something you're going to have to do yourself." Just as Hannah was about to ask another question, a clap of thunder burst into the hall, the sound echoing dramatically into the silence. Hannah had been taught never to call anyone ugly, but the creature who appeared in front of her was so grotesque, so malformed, that Hannah wanted to look away. She wanted to, but she couldn't. A long, bushy white beard ended at the man's torso, and Hannah could see black bugs crawling in it. A watery substance seeped out of his crusted eyes. Mucus dripped from his nose, and one black tooth protruded from his slit-like mouth. The dirty gray coat he was wearing was straining at the buttons and stained with brown swirls. He reeked of vomit and perspiration. But it wasn't his physical being that so frightened Hannah. It was his voice beckoning to her in a soft growl as he spit out a black substance laced with blood. "Come here, little ghost." His mouth was pursed tight. Looming in front of Hannah, his eyes flickered over her, and he licked his dry lips. Hannah screamed, a blood-curdling sound which startled even her. The man quickly vanished. "What's the matter?" Grace asked. It took a moment for Hannah to find her voice. "That man, where did he come from, and what does he want?" She turned towards Sister Maria Constance. A small flurry of movement occurred as everyone looked at each other and then at her. Sister Maria Constance looked stumped by the question, and then she said, "I'm sorry, but we didn't see a man. We didn't see a thing."